Good Sunday fun day. Dr. Kelsey here. I've been up. I just hadn't done my live stream yet. On this Sunday morning is Sunday Sunrise Services SSS coming to you straight from where? Straight right here. Straight from my vehicle in Central Alabama on a sunny Sunday sunrise service. Wow, a lot of S's there, right? So I just want to say, first of all, good morning. Had a wonderful day yesterday serving a lot of people. And this is what I do. It's what I've been doing for years. And that's what I was trained to do. That's what I was programmed to do. That was what I was meant to do. This was the way that my life was designed for me. And I got a lot of fulfillment out of it. It feels good to not be greedy. It feels good to not be just all about the bucks. You know, it does feel good. You do have to be careful because in the situation, you'll find people with bucks try to abuse the situation. There's no doubt about it. But that is the nature of capitalism, isn't it? Because if you understand things like the word worship, and then you really understand what worship is about, what it means, you'll begin to understand that what you dedicate your time to, what you dedicate your life to, what you spend the abundance of your time doing is what you're serving, and ultimately that's what you're worshiping. It's hard for people to digest that they spend so much of their time and life in pursuit of money, pursuit of material gain, in pursuit of collecting stuff constantly. That's what capitalism is about. You got to produce new stuff. You do you not understand that they could make a better vehicle? They could make a better this, a better that, a more maintenance free, whatever. Of course they could. We've got the technology to do a lot. But in a capitalist society, if you built it to last, truly, truly last, irreplaceable, maintenance free, lasting, well, you defeat the purpose of capitalism, don't you? Because I built it, you no longer need my services. You've got it, it works, and I never hear from you again. It doesn't get outdated, it doesn't get worn out, it serves you for a lifetime and longer. I put myself out of business, haven't I? My capital gain is capital gone. And that don't work in capitalism for your capital gain to be capital gone. Because it's all about the bucks. All about the bucks. That's why the Bible, regardless of whether you believe in it or not, there's good sayings in it. Just like there's good sayings, quotes by a lot of men. The only difference between the Bible and a lot of other quotes is a good portion of the planet's citizens put a lot of weight in the words of that book, the Bible, but they've been misled so grossly by the church. They've been misled so grossly by culture. How many times I hear someone claim a quote from the Bible that's not in the Bible just because they've heard it so much from what grandma used to say. It's what the preacher said from the pulpit. It's been ingrained in you to where you haven't investigated it, you haven't looked for it, you just know I've heard it. It comes from the Bible. I've had that conversation a lot over years with people claiming something's in the Bible that's just not there. As we get into Halloween, talking about something that's referred to by Christians that is not a Bible teaching. There's more than just the one I'm referring to, but coming into this time of the year when they say the veil is the thinnest between us and the netherworld, it's a good subject to talk about this time of year. When Grandma died, did her soul, did her spirit drift off to heaven? And she greet Grandpa and family dog and her mother and on down the road? Is that what happened? Is she up there looking down, smiling about your New baby? Is this what the reality is? Well, I'm not going to speak about whether it's the reality or not. I can only speak about whether it's the Bible teaching or not. I'm not even suggesting the Bible's correct. That's not the point of this conversation. The point of this conversation is if you are claiming to be a Christian based on the Bible, you've been misled because a good portion of your belief system is not found in that book. You just think it is because you've heard it misquoted, you've heard it referred to, and you have never yourself taken the time to diligently look for that subject. Oh, there's a lot that can be twisted. You gotta realize that out of that one book comes thousands of different denominations. Clearly, somebody's wrong. Thousands of different opinions can't be right, can it? I mean, look at our political system. Is Trump right or is Biden right? It might be both right on certain subjects, but overall, you're going to pick between the two, aren't you? Because you think one is right and you think the other is wrong on some subjects that concern you. Well, that's what happens when we pick denominations, isn't it? This one's right, that one's wrong, whatever. So, anyway, that is the point. But the Bible does not speak of a person dying and drifting off to heaven. The Bible describes death as sleep, knowing nothing. The Bible speaks of a resurrection. It doesn't speak anywhere about even at the resurrection that you gather with your loved ones who have passed before you. It doesn't even suggest that anywhere. But that's the common belief of Christianity, isn't it? And nobody understands that those beliefs, what these people believe, the majority of Christianity believes, is not in the Bible. It's not supported by the Bible in any way, fashion, or form. But they buy into it. They buy into it constantly. Oh, she's in a better place. Well, death is a better place than life. I guess she's in a better place, huh? See, that kind of destroys what culture would have you believe, doesn't it? And it's hard to stand up in a society and stand up against culture. Why do you dress the way you do? Why do you groom yourself the way you do? Why do you live the way you do? Because of freaking culture. Because it's hard to stand up against culture. If you stand up against culture and do things your way or another way, you're considered weird. You're considered strange, eccentric, maybe even insane because you chose a different path. Wow, this is pretty amazing, isn't it? But nobody wants to give thought to that. They just want to get up and follow the path that's been laid before them, not even giving thought to the fact that the Jesus they claim to serve, the Jesus they claim to follow, was that's exactly what he did. He stood up against culture. He stood up against tradition. He stood up against everything that he was raised in and everything that his culture was. He did. That's just a fact. I'm going to mute this for a second. Got to do something. Hang in there. We're going to continue this conversation. Okay, sorry about the pause there, but I didn't want to restart this, and I am out. Had to run by and pick up something at a window, and now I'm going to drive a little bit, and we'll continue the conversation about what you believe versus what. And I've covered this subject a lot. You can find things in there that kind of would make you think that you are being taught right. If you bend it, if you can do that. And it's strange how people will take what is just kind of in your face written, like do not pray in public. Pray in your closet. They'll twist that and try to defend what they're culturally and church trained to pray in groups and all the above without thinking. The reality is, I always say, I don't want to hear, I'll pray for you. I don't want to say, and I never say, I'm going to pray for you. I never say that. You know why? Because I am intent on being the answer to somebody's prayer, not just praying. Because I figure the best prayer that anybody can give or get is the prayer they give themselves. I would think that their God would respond to their prayer as much or more than he would respond to my prayer for them. I don't think God is a numbers game like Trump is. I don't think God is about numbers, but I think the Bible backs it up clearly. That was clearly so during the times of the flood, wasn't it? He flooded the entire planet. Men, women, little babies, killed them all. Only saved 8 people. Well, if he was a numbers man, he wouldn't have been interested in killing everybody, would he? He would have said, I saved millions of souls. But the way the story goes, I only saved 8 souls. And then you take that up to Jesus' time, and was that a numbers game? Jesus said, wide, spacious, and cramped is the road to death. I mean, that's basically what he said. Many people are on that, but narrow is the road to life, and few upon it. Clearly, guys, not a numbers game. It's not a numbers game. It's not, let me see how many people I can get praying for me. That impresses God. That sounds like a human thing. That sounds like a human judge. Well, maybe I should be light on John here. John got a lot of letters of recommendation from all these people. Maybe I should be swayed. So God is swayed by the number of people that pray for him? That sounds human. That doesn't sound godly, does it? That doesn't sound like some deity that can read your heart, does it? It doesn't sound like some deity that can read your very soul, that understands you according to the Bible even better than you understand yourself, does it? I'll pray for you. No, we don't need your prayers. We need you to be the answer to prayers. See? Read the Bible. That's what it's all about. It's all about being the answer to somebody's prayers. Do you discern this? But let's go back to the season that we're in. According to your tradition, we call it mostly Halloween. Some call it the Day of the Dead. It's always referred to as a time of year when the veil is the thinnest between this realm and whatever that other realm is. We culturally and traditionally have been taught that it's the ghost of dead people. I'm not saying it couldn't be that, but I'm saying that's not a Bible teaching. I'm not saying the Bible's correct, but I'm saying that if you claim to be a believer in the Bible and if you claim to be a follower of Christ, you can't believe that it's ghosts. You can't believe that it's dead people. The Bible's very clear as to what death is. It's the opposite of life. You no longer exist. There's no more love. There's no more hate. It's nothingness. The Bible speaks of a resurrection later, down the road, way down the road. There's a resurrection going to take place when you'll be brought back to life. Until then, you're dead. You don't die and drift off to heaven. There's nothing, not one piece of thing in the Bible to suggest anywhere That you die and you'll be reunited with grandma. That you'll die and there will be your lost love to greet you. Some even believe that their lost pet will greet them. That's an okay belief, but keep in mind, it's not a Bible belief. It's not a Bible teaching. This is the reality, and people don't question it. Why? Because it goes against tradition. What did Jesus say about traditions? It says tradition invalidates the Word of God. You ever read your Bible, or you just take what you want? It's called cherry picking, isn't it? See, the first lie, according to the Bible, and I'm not proselytizing here. I'm talking to people that believe in the Bible. I'm talking to people that say they're Christian. I'm talking to people that say they put their faith in that book and the words of that book. They believe in Jesus. That's the people I'm talking to. I'm not talking to people who have other different beliefs. I don't care what you believe. Just be genuine to your beliefs. You can fool me. Do you really think you can fool your God? Jesus said you invalidate the Word of God with your traditions. If you go back to creation, you go back to Genesis, what was the first lie recorded in the Bible? The very first lie recorded in the Bible. What was it? God had told Adam and Eve, if you eat of the fruit of this tree, and that you will die. That's what he said. You will die. In that day, you will die. The serpent comes along, tells the first lie. He says you won't die. Eve believes him. Eats the fruit. You think Adam and Eve are alive somewhere in another form today, thousands of years later? Is that what you believe? Because they ate a piece of fruit? The Bible doesn't suggest that. You gotta realize in the entire Old Testament, the Torah, the Pentateuch, whatever you want to call it, which of course the Torah, the Pentateuch is only 5 books, but the entire Old Testament, there's no reference to an afterlife. There's no representation of a hope of living forever. It's not there. A suggestion in the creation account is there. The suggestion being that you'll never die. That God created man and woman to live on this planet for eternity. And the only thing that ruined that was a Satan convincing Adam and Eve to eat some fruit out of a tree they were not supposed to eat out of. And that ended that hope of living forever. And the opposite of that was death. Yes, you could pick a few words out that seem to maybe indicate something, but the overall teaching is you're dead. You're not drifted off to heaven. Grandmother's not up there waiting on you. But there's a hope. See, the hope is what's there. Adam and Eve didn't just have a hope, they had a reality, according to the Bible. I don't care if you believe in the Bible or not. To me, there's a lot to be learned from the Bible. The problem with Gentiles is they're taking these Jewish stories, which the Bible is, the book of Jewish stories, and they're literalizing them. So I'm speaking to modern day Christians who buy into that literal translation of the Bible. At least they literalize the parts of it that fit their tradition. At least they literalize those parts of it that fits into their culture. They don't want to hear what it really says. You're asleep. That's what death is. It's referred to over and over and over. When Jesus was headed to resurrect Lazarus, he said, I'm going to awaken Lazarus. The people he was talking to said, why would you wake him? If he's sleeping, he's going to be doing fine. Jesus said, you don't understand. He's dead. Death is sleep. Where were you before you were born? See, people, you know what death is. You have experienced death 100%. I'm not talking about a near-death experience. I'm talking about you were dead for a millennial, for an eternity before you were born. Now, the Mormons would put another twist on that. There's always somebody up there texting and driving, I guess, set to a green light. Gotta wake them up. But this is what the reality is. This is what the reality is the death is the opposite of life. Death is not the transformation of your being to another life form. That would be what we call reincarnation. That would be you come back as something else. That's a reincarnation. Of course, the twist that Christendom would put on it, which is not a Bible teaching. The very Bible says the soul that sins, it is said shall die. Bible also, as speaking of hell, says hell was cast into the lake of fire. So you're telling me that this one fiery place of torment is cast into another fire? Fire burns fire, I guess. And now you're telling me that the same ghost spirits that can walk through walls and all this other stuff is not affected by our physical realm, that these ghosts, these spirits, these entities can burn? Really? Strange. Strange what people believe. Very strange. Because they don't take time to think. Good Sunday morning, everybody. Sunday, October the 18th already. I mean, close. We got 2 more weekends, and we'll be right on top of Halloween. Halloween will probably be a little bit different this year, and that's fine because I don't go trick or treating. I enjoy this time of year for the weather and so forth. It's all good for me. But there you go, folks. That is the short and the long of the entire program. Think. If you believe you were given a God-given fucking brain, use it. Oh, he said the word, the F word. He's a sinner. See how superficial you are? Some 4,500 little babies, kids, little kids die every day from lack of clean water. And somehow or the other, you think that the use of a word is what offends God. That that's what God is focused on. Just like I do weddings, been doing weddings for years, married, made legalized. They say solemnized, but I can't solemnize the union. I perform rituals on weddings. I've done this for years and years and years of my life, thousands of couples. And I tell these couples, marriage is not formed by that piece of paper. Marriage is formed in the heart. There's no wedding in the Bible. It's a wedding feast. There's no such thing as a Bible-based wedding. It does not exist. There's traditions. But I was brought up to think that you were living in sin if you didn't have this state-issued piece of paper. How ridiculous. How retarded to hold such a belief. Really? I've got to buy a license to get permission from the state to have fucking sex. That's what you're telling me. Somehow or the other, that's what pleasing is to God. That somehow or the other, this country in the 1800s decided to issue marriage licenses because of racism. You study the history of the marriage license in this country. And that says, oh, so God said, you know, I didn't require that before, but good idea, folks. Let's get a piece of paper. Let's get a license so these people can get together and have sex. I won't be offended by it, for I am God. Think. Use your head. God didn't create the United States of America. God did not create the state you live in. God did not create these laws. Jesus overturned the laws of Judaism. Jesus came along and said it's about principle. And the whole overlying principle is based on love. A 4-letter word, love. It's that. Israelites. Given 613 commandments, which Christianity likes to narrow down to 10 constantly, because those 613 certainly don't appease them. They don't want to stone their rebellious kids or their adulterous wives. Jesus comes along and says, "It ain't working. It's been a tutor to us. We've learned from it, but it didn't get the job done." Just like the United States of America, we go around and we hear often, "We're a nation of laws." Well, guess what? Those laws are ineffective as crap. If those laws and our system worked, there'd be no more murders. Some states like Texas, we fry these people right and left, and the murders don't stop because we're not changing hearts. Texting and driving. I see cops texting and driving. Come on. Laws don't work. Speeding. We got speeding laws. You got to give me a freaking break. Telling me laws work? Think, people. Think. Do you follow Jesus? That's what you claim, is you claim to be a Christian. Or do you follow these laws that don't work? Because Jesus is based on principle, and that principle being love. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Those kind of principles. Pray in your closet. Why pray in your closet, not in public? Because start praying in public, you're doing that to be seen by man, not to be seen by your God, or not to be heard by your God. Think, people. Think. Separate cultural Christianity from real. Be genuine to your faith. I can't save you. In my role in life, you're saving souls. I ain't saving shit because I don't have that capability. Sorry. I can't save myself. How can I save you? I try to hopefully make you think. It's the best I can do. Have a good Sunday, folks.